Right, we have to solve x squared minus 6x minus 8 equals 0 and give our answer in the form a plus or minus root b. Well, the fact they're asking for the answer in this form should tell you straight away that this cannot be factorised easily. Normally, when you're handed a quadratic, the first thing you try and do is factorise it, right? So it's only x squared, so that'll be x and x. And we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give minus 8 and add to give minus 6. Well, minus 2 and minus 4 add to give minus 6, but minus 2 times minus 4 gives you plus 8, not minus 8. Anyway, it cannot be easily factorised. So, we therefore have to we can do this by using either the quadratic equation, or we can also complete the square. It's up to you which one you use for this. I'll show you both. So let's start with completing the square. To do that, you take this number here and halve it, okay? And write down x minus 3, because minus 3 is half of minus 6. Put that all in brackets and square that, okay? And then you take this number, minus 3, and square it, and that gives you minus 3 times minus 3 is plus 9. And then you remove that number by subtracting it. So that gives us plus 9. We want rid of that, so we write minus 9, okay? The reason we're doing all this is because we're rewriting x squared minus 6x. Don't worry about that, okay? Just the x squared minus the 6x. We've rewritten it like that, okay? Because if you multiply that out, you get x times x is x squared. You get x times minus 3 and another x times minus 3. That gives you the minus 6x. But you also get the minus 3 times minus 3, which is plus 9. So that's why we write minus 9 to get rid of the plus 9. And all of that is equal to x squared minus 6x. So now, to make that whole thing equal to this, we need to subtract the minus 8 and add on the equals 0, okay? So we've rewritten that in just a different form. Now we simplify, so that's equal to x minus 3 squared. Minus 9 minus 8 is minus 17, is 0. Take 17 over to the other side. Oops, that should be a therefore, not an equals, because there's an equals there. Therefore, x minus 3 squared is equal to 17. Therefore, when you take square root, there are two solutions. We're going to say x minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 17. Because minus root 17 times minus root 17 is plus 17, and also root 17 times root 17 is plus 17. In the same way that square root of 9, for example, is plus 3 or minus 3, because minus 3 times minus 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. When you take square root, there are two solutions, hence the plus or minus. Okay, so therefore, add the 3, and we get x equals 3 plus or minus root 17. And that's the answer. You can see it's in the form a plus or minus root b. A is 3 and b is 17. Okay, so that's the completing the square method. That will get you full marks. But you can also use the quadratic formula. Okay? Your choice. So if we're going to use a quadratic formula, then a is 1, b is minus 6, and c is minus 8. Okay, so a is 1, b is minus 6, and c is minus 8. I hope you know your quadratic formula off by heart. It is this: x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you don't know that off by heart, learn it right now. So, therefore, x equals minus b is minus minus 6. Be careful with your minus signs. So it's minus b is minus 6 plus or minus square root of b squared. Minus 6 times minus 6 is 36. Minus 4 times a is 1 times c is minus 8. All over 2a. 2 times 1 is 2. Therefore, x equals minus minus 6 is plus 6. Plus or minus square root of minus 4 times minus 8 is plus 4 8s are 32. So that's plus 32. So that becomes 36 plus 32, which is 68. All over 2. Okay, therefore, well, 2 goes into 6 nicely, it's 3. How do we divide 2 into a square root nicely? The trick here is to break this 68 up into 4 times something, because the square root of 4 is 2 and it will cancel with the 2. Okay, so that's the trick. Now, 68 is equal to 4 times what? Well, it's actually 4 times 17. So that becomes square root of 4 times 17. All over 2. Okay? Therefore, x equals 6 plus or minus. Now we can break this up into, you're allowed to break the square root sign. That's the same as root 4 times root 17. Okay, that's the same as that. All over 2. Therefore, I think this pen's just going to last. X equals, well, that's the same as 6 over 2 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, right? So that's 2 root 17 over 2. That's why we did it. That's why we broke up 68 into 4 times something, because we wanted these. We knew that root 4 was 2, and then we could cancel the 2 on the top and the 2 on the bottom. Right, so nearly there. Well, we are there. Therefore, x equals 6 over 2 is 3. 2's cancel, and you're just left with plus or minus root 17. Ah, what a racket. Okay, so doesn't matter which method you choose, completing the square or quadratic formula, both are good. Completing the square is quicker in this case, but it's your choice.